Joining me now is our friend, Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss. And Congressman, welcome, and thanks for joining us on a holiday weekend particularly. You joined every other House Democrat voting no on President Trump's spending bill. The Congressional Budget Office estimates its $4 trillion in tax cuts lead to the top 10% of earners getting an income boost of about 4% in 2027. The huge cuts to Medicaid and social safety net programs will cause the bottom 10% of household incomes to fall about 2%. If this passes, how will it impact your constituents? And what do you say to Republicans who claim this bill is all about fiscal responsibility?
Alex, thanks for having me on. My head's spinning because I think I agree with Rand Paul, actually. It's doesn't happen very often. But Rand Paul calls him as he sees him on the budget, and he is 100% right. This is one of the most fiscally irresponsible bills ever passed, adding trillions to the national debt. And for what? To give tax cuts to people who don't need tax cuts. Madeleine Dean put it really well about the effects on people who will lose health care access through Medicaid and will lose access to food security through SNAP. I want to add one other element to this bill, though, and that is even if you get health care through your employer, you're still going to suffer from this legislation because you're going to pay a lot more. Because what's going to happen is all those people who got kicked off of Medicaid, they still get sick, right? And instead of going to a community health center, now they go to an emergency room where it costs about 10 times more. The care is less comprehensive. Hospitals have to subsidize that uncompensated care by charging more to the commercial health insurance corporations, who then pass on those higher premiums to employers. That is a well-understood healthcare phenomenon. And what it's going to mean is that the middle class, already being squeezed by childcare, already being squeezed by healthcare, already being squeezed by housing, is now going to pay even more.
Yeah. Go figure that. So a federal judge Friday temporarily blocked the administration from cutting off Harvard's enrollment of international students after accusing the university of creating an unsafe campus environment for Jewish students. You are a Harvard alum, and you have been critical of your alma mater, but you told Politico the administration, quote, is acting just like the most unhinged of the anti-Israel campus protesters last year, performative, irrational, and cruel. So expand on that in terms of what you mean. And is the Trump administration making some kind of a political power play over Harvard, or is it something else?
It's extortion. It's not about politics. It's not about policy. It's certainly not about the Jewish community. It's about culture. One of the core motivators of the Trump administration is the contention that the commanding heights of Western civilization, from NATO to National Public Radio to the NIH to universities, they've been taken over by the left. And so what this administration is doing is waging guerrilla war against the left. And Harvard, of course, is a symbolically critical fight. And Jewish students and now students from every foreign country, Nigeria, China, Europe, are being caught in the middle of this enterprise. There is a right way to address anti-Semitism on campus. I've been working in both a bipartisan and through nonprofit lanes to do that. What Trump is doing is not the right way. Like everything else that he does, it's selfish and illegal.
Which brings me to Trump having spent Thursday night at his Virginia Golf Club hosting the top 220 holders of the Trump crypto coin. Attendees spent an average of $1.8 million on those coins, and the White House said the president held the event in his personal time. But the dinner website reads, quote, hear firsthand President Trump talk about the future of crypto. And then you had that lectern, which obviously carried the presidential seal. What do you make of Trump selling access and profiting off the presidency? And does the president of the United States ever enjoy personal time like this without associating the president with being the president? I mean, it's like King Charles. Is he ever not the King of England in any public forum?
I don't think these crypto investors are trying to have dinner with the president because of his charming and charismatic personality. They're trying to have dinner with the president because he is the president of the United States, and he is monetizing access to the levers of power in the U.S. government, and they want to buy that power. This is exactly the concerns that Senator Warren and I had in January when 2 days after he issued his meme coin, we launched a series of letters to the SEC and to the Treasury Department asking what exactly they were going to do to prevent violations of the Emoluments Clause under the Constitution. And right now what we are seeing is foreigners, including people with strong ties to the Chinese Communist Party are buying the United States presidency. And that's just the people we know about, Alex. There are investors in his cryptocurrency who didn't show up to that dinner. And who are they involved with? The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Politburo, the Kremlin, the Venezuelans. And you know they're going to call those chits in at a time and place of their choosing.
Trump returned to his trade war Friday, threatening a 50% tax on all European Union imports, a 25% tariff on Apple iPhones if they aren't made in America. Stocks dropped and worries about the global economy rose. Trump's tariffs haven't produced the trade deals that he wants or the return of domestic manufacturing that he's promised voters. Are things not going well for him despite his claims?
The same night where tens of millions of Americans were watching their 401ks dip because of more chaos and incompetence from his administration, Donald Trump was having dinner with 200 investors in his own personal net worth. And it really underscores where his focus is at. His focus is not on your retirement security. His focus is on his retirement security. And that type of self-dealing explains just the incompetency of these tariff proposals, right? There is a world in which we do want to implement a tariff on China because we're not having free trade with free people right now. They're cheating on the terms of trade. But you do that through Congress, you do that with allies, and you do that in concert with an industrial policy that has a point of view and a plan about how we're going to reindustrialize parts of our geography here in the United States. What he's doing is tariff by tweet, and it's making everybody poorer.